Welcome Arthur Christopher Trapper.
Got a laser. I got a laser. All right, everybody. I will need the microphone because I don't want to blast my throat. All right, how's everybody doing this afternoon?
Very good.
I'm sorry, let's try that again. How's everybody doing this afternoon? You should feel, it should be a lot louder than that. I mean, in spite of the fact that we have, socialist communists who have taken over Sacramento, we have quite a bulwark that pretty much is running the other 45 states, and the 5 that are in active resistance are crumbling fast. And I believe, my view is, I don't think we're going to see California turn into Venezuela. I mean, enclaves like Huntington Beach, in the Inland Empire, parts of North State, where I was 2 months ago, in the Jefferson area, where they are actively moving towards breaking away from the state of California, even though that 3-state solution was taken off the ballot. I think we're going to be safe while we see, deep blue LA County, deep blue San Francisco will just crumble and fall into the sea. It's not going to hurt us, it's going to hurt them. So I think that we have a lot of, we should be really happy about that. I'm also part of a group called Make California Great Again. Joe Rykoff, she's in charge of that. I think she's in Orange. One of her other offices in Bellflower. So I just love this hat, Make California Great Again. If you want to get one of these, I can help you get in touch with her. I better say it now, I also have other hats that I'm selling if you want to purchase one. I also have banners. So if you want to see me afterwards about that, that's fine. I have given this talk before up in North State, and I thought this might make sense. Now more than ever, yes, we have quite an advocate in the White House right now, President Donald Trump. And you're looking at somebody who, he wasn't on the bottom of my list, he was right there in the middle during the primary. I had supported Walker, then Jindal. I had, executive experience meant a lot to me. I didn't quite trust Donald Trump. Then Ted Cruz, for the long haul, he didn't make it. I was never going to be a never-Trumper. There's no way I was going to sit out and let crooked Hillary be the next president. I think a lot of us had that mindset. And what changed for me, everything was, of all the 17 Republicans, and of course all the others, Donald Trump was the only candidate who met with the angel moms and dads who had lost their children to illegal aliens. That's a subject that no other politician will touch. But Donald Trump met with them publicly, promoted them, made them featured speakers at the RNC convention. He got no money, no endorsements, and no media. The media turned away from the RNC convention when Marianne Mendoza, Sabina Durden, and Jamil Shah talked about how they lost their children. We hear all this crying and whining at the border about children and parents being separated. What would they like to say to the moms and dads who are separated forever from their children because our borders aren't secure? So here I am talking about the Ignite the Grassroots. This to me is really telling. This is like one of my favorite photos. I got a picture with Dana. I love him. I think he's a great guy. And I am very selective because I have been taught, and there's a lot of truth to it, that you really shouldn't make politicians your friends. They're your employees. But Dana's a special exception. There's a couple others, I can't mention them because they might get in trouble. That's how bad it is in Los Angeles County. So you don't want to out too many conservatives who are active, who are also your friends. Ignite the grassroots. Some of this stuff may not seem to apply, but I think it's worth willing to try to make that effort nonetheless. Yes, I have the power. I love it. I got my little laser. Okay, it's a little, but all right. Introduction. We conservatives need to be visible activists. Okay, I think that Donald Trump has brought a lot of that out of us. George W. Bush didn't really ignite or inspire people. People were willing to vote for him. He stood up to terrorism. From what I've looked at, I wasn't, alive and cognizant when Reagan was president. I was born in 1980, but it wasn't like I was voting or anything. I don't think there was any kind of enthusiasm and activism or people coming out of their shells, going to the sidewalks and confronting their city councils the way we see now. And I think a lot of it has to do with the momentum that got Donald Trump elected. We in California, we have seen how corrupt, arrogant, and out of touch local, county, and state officials have become. And even if this state was a lost cause, let's not forget, Stephen Miller is from California. Let's not forget, Andrew Breitbart was from Los Angeles. Where were the buses stopped in 2014? Marietta. I would submit that the Trump movement started here, even if it couldn't win here. The rest of the country has woken up. They don't want to turn into us. And frankly, I'd like us to turn into other states instead, maybe like Wisconsin that actually has no pension liability. Or I like the idea of being like Texas where we don't pay an income tax. Or I like the idea of Kansas or, well, almost Oklahoma or even Arizona where I could carry a firearm without having to have a permit. You have open carry in Arizona. And I guarantee to all the gun nuts and gun control nuts, don't worry, people aren't shooting each other every day on the sidewalk. I can tell you that crime is way down, even in Phoenix, at any rate. We need to be visible, though. Just because Trump's in the White House, just because Republicans have controlled both branches of government, and even after the primaries here, we see Republicans having a chance to flip a few seats even in the state assembly, our work has only begun. We can't make a difference if the world doesn't see us. Los Alamitos was like a blip on the radar initially. By the way, must correct the record. Before Los Alamitos passed an ordinance opting out of SB 54, Siskiyou County and Tehama County up in North State, they already opted out ahead of time. But nobody cares about those northern counties because as far as Sacramento is concerned, they're not really people. Very offensive, which is all the more why they're trying to break away. Yes?
Arthur, are you open to just a little coaching? You're over-modulating the microphone.
Okay.
Hold it away from your mouth.
Is this better?
That's better.
Yes.
That's fine. Okay, no problem. So, there we are in Los Alamitos. We had members from LA County, as well as here in Orange County. We showed up. Gracie, I think you were there in March. I think you're right there in the picture, in fact. There she is, right there in the middle. We were also connected with, at the next meeting in April, we had people from Arizona come and join us. One of the members of the Patriot Movement, she grew up in Huntington Beach. So she came, she helped us out. It was really important for us to really put the gas on this. I mean, I just told you about, there were 2 previous counties up in North State. Nobody cared. Nobody was paying attention. But Los Al made the fight against Sanctuary State and put it right there on the map. There we go. So, right now, just for the sake of time, I'm not going to be going into the videos. Normally, I would have somebody helping me out with those, but I think just going over these issues and answering questions more, if there's any, would be a better use of our time. So, I find no matter what, people have contacted me. They want to be able to make a difference just as we were able to. We've gotten the momentum going to stop SB 54, going after one city after another to opt out, going to the counties. I was there in Orange County, I think it was the March 30th meeting earlier this year, when the board voted to file a lawsuit and opt out of the Sanctuary State law. I worked really hard, and then others I connected with, we started writing letters to every city and every county in the state to get the momentum going. We are now at 14 counties, 50 cities. And my numbers are a little different. We went to San Dimas, the city council chickened out. One of the city council members, though, filed an amicus brief on his own, so I count San Dimas anyway. And Marietta's getting its act together. So there we are in Huntington Park, that's on the left side. Mission Viejo on the right side. That was quite a turnaround. For 2 years, I've been fighting this illegal immigration issue. I've been in Huntington Park, a city which appointed 2 illegal aliens to city commissions. That is how horrendous, that is how deep the onslaught has become against the sovereignty of the state and this country. The problem is, we're still needing more people to get angry, to get out there, to get active. My goal is getting as many people on board as possible. And that reminds me, I have a clipboard in back. I'm asking you if you want to be on my email list so I can keep you informed about fights against Sanctuary State going on in the future. I'll be able to email those to you. I have my clipboard in the back. So, one of the things too, we need to make politicians afraid of us. Besides whether you can see the video or not, that's something that a lot of people, it's astonishing to me. You know, I've talked to people, I mean, not just here in California, but I'm also working with people in Canada now. There's almost this mindset. Somebody sits on an elected board and they make a decision and you're just supposed to go along with it. You know, I'm going to be up in Northern California tomorrow and Wednesday. And there are residents, they tell me through one of the local free speech advocates, well, they're afraid to go to the city council. They're afraid of the retaliation from the elected officials. And I'm going, you've got it backwards. They work for you. You don't work for them. They're supposed to be afraid. You should applaud for that. But I'm finding a lot of people, it's a mindset that they need to adopt. It's not something that is inherent. There's just like this attitude which is developed, which is, well, they made a decision, I just have to go along with it. No, you don't. And they can pass something, and you can fight to change it. We've already seen that here in Orange County. Back to the Board of Supervisors meeting in March, you had parents from Irvine, Laguna Niguel, and Huntington Beach storming the Board of Supervisors when they wanted to put homeless shelters. Not only that, but 2 of the 3 locations were completely inappropriate. So it was a scheme from the beginning to dump everybody in Laguna Niguel. And I believe Laguna Niguel had the biggest outrage. And yes, I'm also aware of the sober living room problem. That comes up a lot. So, of course, we become activists to get our guy elected. It's not enough to vote, it's not enough to put up signs. You go to city council meetings, you go to the county boards to promote your candidates, to promote the issues they are fighting for. This to me is the next step. I remember the Tea Party movement, 2010. I was on the sidewalks, I was waving my flags. Torrance, California is a pretty safe area, even though we have been sandbagged with liberal areas in Beverly Hills and Santa Monica. At one time, my congressman was Henry Waxman. Well, the problem now is I have Ted Lieu, so it's gotten worse. But this is something that Mark brought to my attention, which reminded me about what the next step is for all of us to take. Arthur Schopper is part of the new Tea Party. They go to blue areas and make the case for conservatism, rather than demonstrating on the sidewalk in red areas. We have to start taking the message somewhere else, and I've done it. You can go to my YouTube channel, Chris Schopper. My first one was shut down. Opened up another one, it survived. We've been to Watts, Willowbrook, Cudahy, Huntington Park, Santa Ana. One of the videos that I've uploaded has us stopping a DACA town hall in Santa Ana, where Luke Correa thinks it's okay to undermine federal law and basically preach treason to illegals, how they can skirt immigration laws and avoid ICE. Every time he has a meeting, we show up. And the meeting ends early. And a lot of illegals end up leaving. That works for me. One of our best was at a school meeting in an elementary school in Garden Grove. We showed up, every one of us has a camera, and there are more elected officials there than there are people trying to extend or continue their DACA. That's what it needs to be about now. Okay, we need to be stopping this stuff, not just sitting back and complaining about it. So, I told you about Lion Ted, he's my congressman. A lot of people have this idea, and I hope one of the reasons I do this, it's most about changing the mindset. Like I said, remembering that the elected officials work for you, you don't work for them, you don't have to just tolerate them. Some people have this idea, why would I want to go to a town hall with a Democratic congressman? I'm not going to agree with them. There's going to be a bunch of cheerleaders in the audience who are just going to support and promote what they believe. You need to go to them. They are your congressmen, even if they don't agree with your views. I went to one of Henry Waxman's town halls after he was elected. That was also in Hermosa Beach 5 years ago. He was terrified the moment he saw me. I had exposed the stupid lapses of thought. I mean, this guy had like Nancy Pelosi style Alzheimer's. You know, and a lot of these politicians have gotten away with it until YouTube has arrived, until it's easier to upload C-SPAN and the hearings where they attend. So I was onto all of it. I exposed all of it. I hammered him on the veterans issue strongly. He started to pay attention to it, pay lip service to it. Brentwood is in my district. Brentwood's been like loaned out to private interest for decades. And only recently now has the federal government paid attention to ensure that homeless veterans are actually taken care of at a facility that was meant for them in the first place. We're sad to say we still have the largest homeless population in the country. It's in LA County, sadly. So here we are with Lion Ted. You must go to the town halls, whether you agree or not. You go there to make a presence. You go there to make your case, to make your statement, to make it clear that he's not going to have, or she is not going to have an easy time and get a lot of sycophants. And that's the result. Congressmen view a town hall as successful when their views, their words are center place. What they've done, when they get to brag about themselves and be the main attraction. We went to Lion Ted's town hall last April, and we disrupted it from day one. He's not the center of attention, we are. Our outrage with his disregard and disrespect for our president, that got the attention. And you saw in the previous picture, there were others too besides my own. We called about his lies, we shut him down. We don't allow the left and their elected officials to dominate the conversation. There were a lot of people who cursed at me. There were some people who were really mad. Don't go to these alone. I can't stress that enough. Otherwise, you really can't do anything. Or worse, they just throw you out. So, I talked about why. Now we're looking at how. It's, sometimes I worry, I don't want to come into events and treat each of you as if, or to treat individuals as if you've lived in a cave or have no contact with the outside world. So please don't take this as a sentiment of you don't know how to do anything. But I just have found that when people call me, they go, what do? I want to make a difference at my city council, with my elected board. How do I do that? What should I do? So I do outline the baby steps. So please don't take offense if it seems so simple. In a sense, I have to respect, for a lot of people, it's a new thing to do. It was for me. It's important to start collecting the contact information for your city council reps. Who are they? Not just that, but the clerk, the attorney, the manager. Sounds like a lot of you have done that already. But that's something that we need people day to day, down the road, need to do. People who aren't usually active politically. That's something that they need to start doing. You have a right to call them, you have a right to hear from them. They have a necessity to hear from you. I have the direct phone number for 5 of my city council members, including one of them whom I don't like very much. And I love to share his phone number with everybody I meet. And I say, you need to call him, because he doesn't think we have a coyote problem. We do. 600 pets were killed last year. And yet he says on the city council, along with 2 of his colleagues, oh, well, I've seen the numbers, they've gone down. Wrong. But he's not going to know if you don't say anything. A lot of people don't see this as useful, but it's actually quite effective. You need to be writing emails to your staffers, to the city council, and their staff. In fact, there are cities in the Inland Empire where friends of mine and I, when we have been fighting SB 54, we didn't even know about them. But we had contacts who had been emailing those city councils. Canyon Lake comes to mind, for example. And it gave them enough information where they opted out and they filed an amicus brief without any opponent of SB 54 even attending. So it's very effective. Something else that's, hand in letters. I told a group in Monterey County, write out your letters and submit them in person. Have hard copies that you give to the city clerk to show that not only do you have a point of view, but there are others in the city who share your point of view. There's power in numbers. The elected officials need to see that. And they're not going to know about it if you're just complaining about it at home or at the bar or even in a Tea Party meeting. This is the part that I've gotten better at. This is a part that is essential. Building lists and the email contacts. And then you are able to build on that to get more people. We've got to get our movements, whether it's in Huntington Beach to stop the density problem. In Torrance, by the way, we actually are ahead of the curve on this. As early as 2006, we saw overdevelopment, and we had a new slate of city council members. As early as then, throw out a number of incumbents. We have 2 more that we've elected, 2 new city council members, conservative, Republican. They're not union puppets. They campaigned actively against Senate Bill 54. They said, we want to do something. They campaigned on it. I don't know of any city council candidate who has done that recently. But they did, and they won. And they've also further established in our city that we're not going to have this high density stuff. We're not going to be expanding the apartment numbers. We're pretty much going to put up a no vacancy sign. So that's where we are in Torrance. Again, I go to the mindset. Your elected officials have to hear from you, not requests and not pleas, but demands. This is a mindset, again, I find I have to kind of break through to people. I have a contact in Camarillo. We went after that city council to take a stand on SB 54. They had written a letter against the bill. They punted on taking any further action, unfortunately. I said to this man, he had the phone number of one of the city council members, he talked to him, and I had to remind him again, he works for you. You don't work for him. You don't worry about whether you're inconveniencing his life. He needs to pay attention to what you're concerned about. That was a big turnaround for him. They have to have this attitude. You're demanding it. You're not requesting it. You're not hoping for it. You're saying, hey, you have a responsibility. You took an oath. And part of that oath means that if there's a conflict between our federal and state constitutions, the feds win. And right now, the state of California up in Sacramento doesn't want to play that, doesn't want to play along. Too bad. And the cities need to remind them of that. Okay, about the city council meetings. It's not just about attending them, it's also contacting the local groups, whether, not just the GOP groups. I've reached out to many Republican Women Federated groups. Here in Orange County, they've been very active and effective. In Ventura County, it is incredible. We had one city council meeting, and we had 70 people show up. People I'd never met before. And a good number of whom had told me they'd never been to a city council meeting before. That's a mindset, that's a pattern we're changing. This man right here, Kwang, I'm going to pronounce his name wrong, Kwang Guang. I met him in Buena Park. He's from Garden Grove. He recognized me from some of my YouTube videos, and I had my Trump hat on, and he had his. It was really something. And I said, we're going to Westminster, okay, because they have on their agenda to opt out of SB 54. I need you to be there. I need you to be there. You're Vietnamese. You're an immigrant. You came here legally, and you're a Trump supporter. So you've got everything I need. We have a lot more who showed up too. He became a featured photo for 2 articles that I wrote. One that was for Town Hall and then another for Barbed Wire. And he also got to speak to the Vietnamese press. We didn't have anybody else who could speak to the Vietnamese press at that meeting, but he could, as an outspoken Trump supporter. And a side note, I got to talk about